Hello and welcome to Open Source Kubernetes Management on the Mainframe. My name is Mike Friesenegger. I'm a solutions architect at SUSE working on the partnership between SUSE and IBM. I'm also a co-chairman for the Feilong project, which I presented about earlier today. I think everybody will agree with me that Kubernetes is a hot topic within the IT industry. And the future of Kubernetes is quite promising. Here's a quote from Jay Lyman where he says that 76% of enterprises will standardize on Kubernetes within 3 years. Let's start by understanding why Kubernetes is such a transformative technology. Simply put, Kubernetes enables a common compute platform across any infrastructure and architecture by automating the deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. With Kubernetes, you can architect and build containerized applications that will run anywhere, from a developer's laptop to servers in your on-premise data center, on any cloud, or even in branch and edge locations. What makes this possible is a consistent set of infrastructure capabilities, whether it be packaging or high availability or load balancing or networking or service discovery, auto scaling. Wherever Kubernetes is managing containers, whether it be from the development to the data center, to the cloud, or to the edge, this common consistent set of infrastructure capabilities is available to the containers that are running within that Kubernetes infrastructure. Organizations can benefit by unifying their use of Kubernetes throughout their operations. They can consistently deliver high level of reliability on any infrastructure, and let's extend that to architecture. They can improve the efficiency and interaction between the development side of the house and the operations side of the house by standardizing the automation of their CI/CD and other automation processes. And if done properly, they can ensure enforcement of their security policies across any infrastructure and architecture. But for all of its transformative capabilities, Kubernetes can create overhead and risk if not managed properly. The challenge is that Kubernetes clusters are typically deployed individually without central visibility, which can lead to sprawl of Kubernetes clusters. Because they're individual deployments, they're not always managed in a consistent way with regards to security policies. And they're managed separately by different groups, whether that be a group that's a set of developers working within the development environment or within the cloud, a group of admins working in the cloud, or even different architectures, people that manage different architectures, all can be managing Kubernetes deployments independently. There are two key pillars for a successful Kubernetes deployment strategy. The first pillar is use a certified Kubernetes distribution. This enables you to deploy compute everywhere that you need it, whether that be in the data center, on the cloud, on developers' workstations, at the branch, the edge, or any architecture that you want containers to be run. The second pillar is centralized management. You need to deploy a centralized management control plane that delivers three capabilities. One, consistent cluster operations, so that your IT operations team can manage all of your certified Kubernetes distributions with a consistent interface, regardless of who developed or deployed the distribution and where it is running. Secondly, security, policy, and user management allows IT operations teams to automate processes and apply a consistent set of user access and security policies for all of your clusters, no matter where they're running. And the last key capability for the centralized management control plane is shared tools and services. Any Kubernetes management platform must provide seamless access to DevOps tools, as well as services including application packaging, CI/CD, logging, monitoring, and service mesh. Rancher addresses both key pillars for a successful Kubernetes deployment strategy. Working from the bottom of the diagram, Rancher provides a couple of CNCF certified Kubernetes options in RKE, the Rancher Kubernetes engine that can be run within the data center and is completely run within Docker containers, as well as K3S, which is a single binary CNCF certified Kubernetes distribution that can be run on the developer's workstation at the branch or the edge. But it doesn't stop there. Rancher is able to run within the cloud and support other Kubernetes distributions that are CNCF certified. As we move up the stack, the Rancher management tool called Rancher is a centralized management tool that provides a number of key capabilities that support simplified cluster operations and infrastructure management, allowing one centralized management interface to manage multiple Kubernetes deployments, whether that be within the data center, within the cloud, or somewhere in between. In addition, Rancher is able to integrate from a security perspective with a number of authentication mechanisms and provide policy enforcement and governance around centralized auditing, monitoring, logging, CIS benchmarking, role-based access control, network policies. On top of that, Rancher provides a number of key shared tools and services, whether that be a catalog, monitoring alerts, service mesh, Terraform capabilities, storage, and dashboards that allow administrators, IT operations, to manage all of the Kubernetes clusters that are deployed wherever they're deployed and be able to support the containerized apps that are running on this infrastructure. So as we put it all together, with Rancher, both the IT operations and the development teams will benefit from taking advantage of what Rancher brings. The IT operations teams are able to centrally provision Kubernetes services and manage and control all of the clusters and the resources and the security that are in those multiple Kubernetes clusters that are deployed. The provisioned services in turn are available throughout the Rancher ecosystem as a catalog for use by the development teams, and they're able to leverage all of the capabilities that Rancher provides, including the catalog, to build, deploy, and manage full-featured containerized applications. The end result is the operations teams gets what they want, the development teams get what they need, and your organization is able to realize the key benefits of a successful Kubernetes deployment strategy. Rancher has a unique approach. First of all, it's a multi-cluster world. Rancher has been pioneering multi-cluster management for more than 4 years. They continually show their excellence in being able to manage many CNCF certified Kubernetes distributions. When it comes down to it, Kubernetes distributions are commoditized. Customers are realizing that the value of Kubernetes is not in Kubernetes itself, but it's all about the containers and the applications that are running with inside of Kubernetes. It's all about the management of Kubernetes, and that's where Rancher comes into play through its UI. Rancher unites Kubernetes clusters with centralized authentication and access control, enterprise security, auditing, backups, upgrades, observability, and alerts. You can deploy and secure clusters consistently in minutes anywhere using an intuitive UI that Rancher provides, or via powerful CLI. And lastly, Rancher supports any CNCF certified Kubernetes distribution. That's their open approach to open source. Any enterprise grade operating system as well, including Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu, CentOS, Windows, x86, ARM, and soon to be S390X architecture. We believe that customers should choose which technology stack is optimal for their use case and for their deployment. During this presentation, I've had the opportunity to tell you about open source Kubernetes management. I've also taken the opportunity to tell you a little bit more about Rancher's capabilities that help organizations that are looking for successful Kubernetes deployment strategies. I've highlighted a number of key capabilities that Rancher can do both at the Kubernetes distribution as well as the centralized management for managing any CNCF certified Kubernetes distribution. Now I'd like to take a moment to tell you about the Rancher projects that are coming to the mainframe and ask if you're interested to get involved with these projects. First of all, Rancher. It's the UI that I've been talking about. It is the world's most popular Kubernetes management platform. RKE2, also known as RKE Government, is the Rancher Kubernetes engine that is CNCF certified, and it runs entirely within Docker containers. Lastly, Longhorn. It is a highly available persistent block storage for microservices-based stateful applications that are running within containers. If you're familiar with Kubernetes, you may have heard of the term CSI, Common Storage Infrastructure. Longhorn is a CSI option that is available. Over on the right-hand side, I've provided links to each of the projects. I will take a moment to demo the Rancher centralized management user interface, which makes it easy for anyone to deploy a container without needing to use the Kubernetes command line tool kubectl. The Kubernetes cluster that is being used for today is MDF-RKE2. Information about the CPU, memory, and pods are displayed about the cluster. Let's look at the MDF-RKE2 server, which is the master node of this Kubernetes cluster. Notice that the master node is running on SLES on S390X. The worker nodes are also running on S390X. Let's click on the Cluster Explorer. The Cluster Explorer provides an easy-to-understand view of the Kubernetes cluster. Projects and namespaces show what was created during the RK2 deployment and the registration of the cluster into the Rancher UI. We also can see a different view of the 3 nodes that comprise this cluster. Let's switch our attention to all the workloads that are running in the cluster. This is too much information, so we will filter the view to only show user namespaces. There are no workloads running in any user namespace. This is where we will deploy a Hello World container. The Hello World container will be defined as a Kubernetes deployment. The deployment name, container name, and container image are being specified. A port is being added to enable network access to this deployment. You may not have noticed, but there are many additional options within the UI that we will not need for this simple Hello World deployment. To complete enabling network access, an ingress rule will be created. A host and path is defined for the ingress rule so that Kubernetes cluster knows where to route the request. An HTTP request to s390x-test.info/hello will tell the cluster that the request wants to access the Hello World container. Let's switch to another browser tab to confirm that the Hello World web service is accessible. Currently, there is only one Hello World container running in this deployment. If this was a web service being used for real work, then the number of running containers might need to be manually or automatically increased based on demand. Let's manually increase the number of containers in this deployment and show the result. The current number of replicas is 1. We just increased it to 3. Now we'll go back and refresh the browser on the other tab and show 3 IP addresses ending with 33, 34, and 35 for the 3 containers running in this workload. Let's wrap the demo by summarizing what has been shown. We have shown how the Rancher multi-cluster management UI makes deploying and managing containers easy. No need to know commands and options. Thank you for your time today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Open Mainframe Summit experience. Bye-bye.